What's up, friends? If you're a beginner inside of GarageBand, this video is for you. I want to show you 5 simple techniques that you can apply to your GarageBand sessions when mixing. We're going to go through a couple of different settings just to get you set up and ready to go so you don't have to think about it anymore. And then I'm going to show you a few different techniques that you can add to your workflow that should really help you speed up your mixing and overall get a much better sound from your songs out of GarageBand. Before we get into this video, I need to tell you about QuizTones. QuizTones is my favorite app for learning frequency. I've been recommending it for over 12 years. It's amazing, and if you are learning how to mix and want to figure out how to EQ vocals, how to EQ drums and bass and guitars, this app is the key for you to learn that and understand what is frequency, what do I boost, what do I cut. I am so thankful for QuizTones and to have them a sponsor of this video. It's amazing. So go click that link in the description of this video and check it out. All right, so the very first thing that we're going to look at is we're going to go to our preferences. So GarageBand and preferences. Then we're going to go over here to advanced. So this is one of the most important things of this entire video that I want to make sure you do. This audio recording resolution needs to be checked. So 24-bit audio resolution needs to be checked. If you have this unchecked, basically what it does is it lowers your audio quality quite a lot, and it just makes it a little bit harder to get a better mix whenever your audio quality is so compressed. Then I want you to turn off this auto-normalize. So auto-normalize export projects at full volume. There's a bunch of reasons for this. For one, if you watch my videos and you're continually learning, you shouldn't need this export projects at full volume. I show you how to master tracks and get appropriate volumes on this YouTube channel. And when you learn how to do this, you don't need this to auto-normalize and adjust. So once you have those two things, you're good to go. Number 2, whenever you want to export anything, if you go to Share, Export Song to Disk, that's how we export inside of GarageBand, there's this quality right here, uncompressed 24-bit and 16-bit CD quality. So odds are nowadays you're not making a CD, and all of the streaming services, once you upload to them, you can upload your song at 24-bit. So these days, we might as well stay at the highest possible quality that we can be at, and that is this uncompressed 24-bit. So that's a very important setting, and then this wave, of course, is where we want it. All right, so number 3 is show your master track. So if you don't know what a master track is, we're gonna go to it right now. So how you do this is go to track, and then you come all the way down here to show master track. And this little guy right here, master track, pops up on the bottom. The reason you want this is basically just for ease of access. You can always tell by looking at this meter how hot your output actually is. And then if we go to our settings here, I have a couple plugins. It's just easy to access it, right? If you don't have this master track shown right here, let's just say we're on hi-hat. At any point, if I want to show the master track, I would go to master, and then that would be my track, but I don't have any reference. I don't have any meter or anything like that. So this master track really helps for you to see this meter, and also because you can add automation. So if you push A for automation, you can click this volume right here, and if you want to do a nice fade out at the end of the song, for an example, we can click, and now we have a nice fade out. Super, super simple. There's no other way to really do that. You'd have to do that to all your tracks. Okay, so tip number 4, organize and color your session. So we're gonna do that right here. I see a lot of sessions that students send me where I help them mix and learn how to navigate this GarageBand world. And I typically get sessions that look exactly like this. So everything's the same color. We've got our drums kind of here, guitars. There's no real order when it comes to this. So I like to follow a really simple set of rules that really comes from my recording studio days and my live sound days. In both those two worlds, we organize our console very, very similarly. And we do the same thing inside of our sessions. So how we do that is we start with the drums always. Drums are at the beginning of the session. That's just a standard. Then we do bass guitar, because drums and bass kind of have a similar relationship, especially the kick drum and the bass guitar. Then from here, it kind of changes person to person, but I like to go to guitars. So drums, bass, guitars, then piano, synthesizers, stuff like that. Then you can go to like strings, maybe you have a violin like we do in this session, horns, anything extra. Then we go to the vocals. So I like to have my lead vocals, my background vocals together. That way, at any point when I'm in a session, I know if I need to adjust the drums. My brain is so used to seeing the drums at the top of the session. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we've got the kick drum. So drums typically get organized in this format. Kick, snare, hi-hat, and then toms, which I don't know if we have. We don't have any toms on this one. So then overheads, and then our reverb we're just going to do after. All right, so that should be all the drums. And we're actually going to color these. So assign track color. Now, I really like to color my tracks the exact same every single time. That way my brain gets used to seeing the same color for the same thing, and I have to spend less time looking for stuff. That's your enemy. When you have to really look to find stuff while you have inspiration or while you have an idea, it really messes up the creative process. So we're just going to do red for drums. So an easy way to do this, to do all these tracks, is to obviously click this red, but then you hit the arrow key up and down to go through your tracks. So you can just do that. Okay, sweet. So now we got our drums. Now let's do our bass. Where's our bass? Here's our bass. We're going to put it right here. I always do green for bass. Then we're going to do our guitars. So acoustic guitar. I like to have my acoustic guitars first and then my electric guitars. So acoustic guitars, and then we have electric guitars here. Okay, so I do yellow for guitars. All right, and then what else do we have? We have violins. Is there any piano? So no pianos on this song. We have violins. So I usually do like a purpley color for strings. Awesome. Now we have, I like to put lead vocals first so that my lead vocals are always kind of the first thing in the vocals. And then I have my reverbs and effects right after that lead vocal and then backing vocal. So my main lead vocal, I always do just like a crazy bright color, like a pink. We will do, maybe do it a little dimmer. So we'll do this one. All right, and then I do my backing vocals a similar color so that they're kind of close, but they look a little bit differently, right? So I've got my lead vocals and all my effects and then a slightly different color for my backing vocal. So that's it. Super, super simple. And you can see here from what we had before, I'll show you what we had before. Okay, so this is much easier to kind of navigate because if I'm zoomed in here and I'm like, okay, drums, I just know where the drums are at. I know where the bass guitar is at. It's easy to lose single tracks, especially like this bass, if they're all the same color and you have to read all the different names to try and find it. If you use the same colors on the same similar tracks, it just helps you find stuff so much easier and so much quicker. All right, so tip number 5. This is the last one. Stop using sliders for effects and reverb. You may not know what I mean, especially if you're really new to GarageBand. So typically inside of GarageBand, if I select my lead vocal, let's just say that I want to add reverb on my lead vocal. You'd select your track, and then you would hit this button right here. And then we would go to our controls. Okay. And if we scroll down, we have our master echo and master reverb. And if I want to add more reverb or echo, I would just pull up the slider, right? So let's try it.
Riding the waves, beating the shore, no matter the where, life must go on. Riding the waves, beating the shore, no matter the where, life must go on.
Right? So I would just bring up this slider and that would be my reverb setting. If I wanted to edit that setting, I would click this, which takes you to these controls right here, which you don't really have a lot of play. Like you just have these knobs. I mean, it can be kind of simple, but the problem here is that in all other DAWs that professional engineers work in, they like to EQ their effects so that they have a much cleaner mix and more control over their mix, right? They also like to automate their effects and their reverb. And it's really difficult to get a nice, big, awesome, clean reverb with just using these sliders here. So we're going to turn this off, and I'm going to show you an alternate way to do this. So how we would do this is once we have a really good vocal sound, and we're like, okay, this vocal sounds awesome, everything sounds good, I want to add some reverb now, right? I already have a few reverbs here, but we're just going to do this as a test here. So lead vocal, I'm going to go to Share, Export Song to Disk. All right. And then we'll just put this in the downloads. I'm going to call this vocal verb JW so that we have a different name. We want to make sure, again, that it's wave uncompressed 24-bit. As long as you set that one time, it should stay for all of your sessions. And we're going to go ahead and hit export. So this is going to export all of our settings for this vocal right here. I'm going to go to my downloads and grab this, stick it right here, bring it up. We're going to color it to make sure that it's the same color as our lead vocal track. Awesome. Okay. So now we have a track that is the exact same sound as this one, okay?
Riding the waves.
One thing you really want to make sure is that you make sure that they're aligned, right? So they're aligned just like this. So if I solo both of these, it should just get louder.
Riding the waves, beating the shore.
One thing that can happen is you can accidentally have it like here and think, if you're zoomed out, that it's lined up and it sounds like this.
Riding the waves.
You don't want that. You want it to be nice and lined up.
Riding the waves.
Okay, so now we're gonna add a reverb. So we would add a reverb on this first setting right here on the plugins where this compressor is fine. So we're just gonna go to reverb, we'll go to space designer, and we'll pick, let's just pick a large hall, warm vocal hall. See how this sounds.
Riding the waves, beating the shore. No.
So what's cool about this is that we can actually go through all these different settings and presets, and we have a lot more freedom here versus just kind of messing with these knobs that we're not sure what they're doing. This part just makes it so much more fun to mess with. So let's just say we like this sound, okay? We really like this reverb setting. It sounds really good. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our dry output right here, and we're gonna turn this off. Dry output is just the lead vocal. That's it. So now we should just have a reverb sound.
Riding the waves, beating the shore. No.
Right? Sounds great. So let's get a good balance just for reference here.
Riding the waves, beating the shore. No.
Okay, so here's where it gets really, really cool. Now we can have this EQ after our reverb, and we can cut out a bunch of lows because we don't need all these lows. This is our drums, our bass. A lot of times your reverbs, especially if you have a guitar verb or a piano verb, there can be so much reverb here that's accumulating. It causes your mix to sound really muddy in the low end, and there's no clarity, and you can't hear the bass guitar, you can't get the kick drum to come through enough. And that a lot of time has to do with your reverb setting. Not only that, but we can add a cut on our highs, and what this kind of does is it pushes the reverb back, right? So it just, as we bring these highs down, it pushes it further and further back. Okay, so let's listen.
Riding the waves, beating the shore, no matter the where, life must go on, riding the waves.
So if you listen, I'm gonna play it with this EQ off and then the EQ on, and so we can hear the difference. So here's off.
Riding the waves, beating the shore, no.
Okay, on.
Riding the waves, beating the shore, no.
So this is helping because it's bringing more focus to that lead vocal. All right, so let's pull it in. So this song is just a rough mix of this song, but let's get a good mix of this verb with the vocal.
Riding the waves, beating the shore, no matter the where, life must go on.
All right, so let's turn this off.
Riding the waves, beating the shore, no matter the where, life must go on. Riding the waves, beating.
So when this EQ's off, it almost sounds like there's too much reverb. It's like, oh wow, there's a lot of reverb. And whenever it's on, it sounds like the reverb's in a decent spot, right? This is just one of the countless reasons why I really believe that you should have your own reverb track instead of using the reverb sliders down here. These are easier because you can just turn them up, but if you want to have a clean mix, especially in the low end, a good habit is to export whatever you want reverb on, add the reverb separately, and then add an EQ like this to get some of that high end and low end cut out of that reverb because you just don't really need it. I hope those tips helped. Those are just simple things that I truly think can really help you progress in learning how to mix, especially inside of GarageBand. If these tips aren't enough and you want more and you want to learn how to EQ, how to compress, how to saturate your vocals, definitely go check out my vocal preset bundle. Click the link in the description. It's free. I made it for you. Over, I think it's at 7,000 people now have downloaded that thing. There's over 30 presets, all for vocals. And it also comes with a free training video where I show you how to put it on your computer and also how to manipulate these presets so that you can start to figure out how EQ works, how compression works, and how saturation works. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. And I will see you on the next one. Bye, friend. Peace.